Okay, welcome to this video on expanding double brackets. So we're learning to expand double brackets and simplify the expressions that are left. But we're going to actually start with a bit of a recap of single brackets. So the example I've got here, even though there are two brackets in it, it's not a set of double brackets, rather it's just two single brackets. Each single bracket is going to be expanded, and then we're going to try and simplify what we're left with. So let's expand this single bracket first. 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 3 is plus 12. And then our second bracket, minus 2 times x is minus 2x, and minus 2, be careful of that it is minus 2 times plus 5. Well, the minus times the plus is minus. 2 times 5 is 10, so that's minus 10. At this point, guys, we try to simplify, bring together anything that we know that we can, any like terms, okay, sometimes called collecting like terms. So first of all, let's take a look at the x's. I've got 4x, and sometimes people miss this, but that's minus 2x. That minus there belongs to that 2x. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. But we've also got a couple of numbers. We've got positive 12 and negative 10, or plus 12 and minus 10. 12 take away 10, giving us plus 2. Okay, a second example, a little bit more difficult because we've got a letter outside our first bracket. But we start with the same method. X times x, this time, is x squared. X times 4, always write the number first, so instead of being x4, it'll be plus 4x. Again, we've got an issue of a minus 3 times x. Minus 3 times x is minus 3x. And possibly the most difficult bit of this, and something that you can quite easily miss, minus 3 times minus 2 is plus 6. The minus times the minus giving us that positive. Now, in terms of collecting like terms here, this expression starts with x squared. There are no other x squareds in that expression, so that must remain as it is. However, we've now got an amount of x's. We've got plus 4x and minus 3x. 4x take away 3x, giving me 1x, or written as just x. And then the last thing is this number, plus 6. There are no other numbers, nothing we can collect with it. So again, that just goes into our answer. Now, why don't you have a go? There are quite a few there, and I don't suggest you do them all, but maybe pick 1 or 2 of the first 4 and 1 or 2 of the second 4. Definitely pick something from E, F, G, and H, because that's a chance to practice with x's outside the brackets rather than numbers. When you're ready to start, pause the video, and when you want the answers, resume. And some answers for you. A, 3x plus 21. B, 9x minus 24. C, minus 2x minus 14. D, 5x minus 3. E, x squared plus 5x plus 10. F, x squared minus 5x minus 10. G, x squared plus 4x minus 14. And H, x squared minus 7x plus 4. Let's compare that with actually expanding double brackets. And as it says on the screen, to expand double brackets, we must multiply each term in the first bracket by each term in the second bracket. Now, there are different methods to do this, and different teachers will show you different ways, but all the ways involve taking the terms in the first bracket and multiplying them by the terms in the second bracket. A method often referred to is FOIL, F for firsts, O for outers, I for inners, and L for last. And that's what we'll try with this example here, x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 4. So we start with our firsts. The first term in this bracket multiplying by the first term in this bracket. X times x is x squared. Now, O for the outers. The outer term in this bracket multiplying by the outer term in this bracket. X times 4 is 4x. Now the inners, 3 times x is 3x, and finally the last term in this bracket multiplied by the last term in this bracket, 3 times 4, which is 12. That's the expanding bit done. Okay, I sometimes refer to it as the smiley face method. FOIL, smiley face, end up doing the same thing, and either of those ways of thinking about it will work for you. But in terms of simplifying, we start with the x squared. There are no other x squareds, so that stays as is. We've got some x's, plus 4x, plus 3x. We can collect those together to make 7x. And then the number on the end, plus 12. That can stay as it is in the answer as well. A second example for you. Again, let's start with the first term here, multiplying the first term here. Again, x times x, which is x squared. Now our outers, x times 5, which is plus 5x. Now where we could go wrong, okay, is our inners. It's not 2 times x, it's minus 2. This minus here belongs to this 2. Minus 2 times x is minus 2x. And again, we need to be mindful of that one as well when we do our lasts. Minus 2 times plus 5. Minus times a plus is a minus, and 2 times 5 is 10, so minus 10. And finally, we simplify again. Again, no other x squared, so that stays in the answer. X's, we've got a plus 5x and a minus 2x, which is plus 3x. And then the number minus 10, there are no other numbers, so that can just tag on to the end of that. And again, a chance for you to try some. Again, there are probably far too many on this page, and you might want to just pick a handful of them and just make sure you're happy before checking your solutions. In question 1, there are 10 examples for you to try. In question 2, you are multiplying the bracket on the left by the bracket on the top, so there's quite a lot to do there. Again, do the ones that you feel you want to have a go. Most of these are the same sort of standard, so it doesn't matter which ones you pick. Pause the video now and then come back when you're ready to check your answers. I'm not going to read out the answers this time because there are far too many, but here they are for you. All these answers have been simplified. And there we go. And finally, our last set of examples. The added difficulty here, again, we're going to do double brackets, so the method's the same, but there might be a coefficient to some of the x's, a number before some of the x's. So rather than our firsts in FOIL being an x times an x, it might be 3x times x, or even 3x times 2x, and variations like that. So it does make it a little bit more tricky, but let's jump straight into this example. 3x minus 1 times x minus 3, starting with our firsts. 3x times x is 3x squared. Now let's go to our outers. 3x times 3. Well, 3x times 3 is 9x, but again, we've got to be careful that this isn't 3, it's minus 3. So it's a positive times in a negative, so it's minus 9x. Our inners, minus 1 times x is just minus 1x, or minus x. And finally, be a little bit careful here again, our last is 1 times 3, well 1 times 3 is 3, but looking at the signs as well, minus 1 times minus 3, minus times a minus means that that is plus 3. Very much it simplifies in the same way as the last examples. The x squareds, there are no other ones, so it remains as 3x squared. And we've got minus 9x. Think about a number line here. We're on minus 9x, and then we're taking away another x. Okay, don't fall for the trap here that 2 minuses make a positive. That is not the rule being applied here. That's the rule we apply when we're multiplying. Okay, this is number line work. Minus 9x, take away another x is minus 10x. And then the number, no other numbers there, so that can just tag onto the answer. And our final example. You may have seen something like this before, but just to remind you, we know that squared means times by itself. So even though we can't see double brackets here, what this question is asking us to do is to multiply this bracket by itself, and that's where we get the double bracket from. Again, let's follow our method. 4x times 4x are firsts. 4 times 4 is 16, and x times x is x squared. Next, our outers. 4x times minus 7. Okay, well, let's just deal with without the signs a minute. So 4x times 7 is 28x, but it's plus 4x times minus 7. So the plus times the minus means this is minus 28x. Then we've got our inners, minus 7 times 4x, very much the same sum that we've just done, but the other way around, okay? Again, 7 times 4x is 28x, and minus times plus means it's minus 28x again. And finally, our last, we got 7 times 7, but let's not forget it's minus 7 times minus 7, and the minus times the minus makes plus, so plus 49. And in terms of simplifying, the only x squareds that are there are these 16x squared, and then the difficult bit with the x's, minus 28x, minus 28x. Again, the two negatives don't make a positive, don't fall for that trap. That's with multiplying. So we think of this as a number line. If we were on minus 28 and we asked you to take away another 28, we'd go all the way down to minus 56x. And the number again just tags on to the end. Now, I'm going to end by saying what we're left with, okay, both the equations that we're left with in yellow there, you can see them on the screen, are called quadratic equations, okay? And the next topic, we're going to be asking you to take quadratic equations like this. And what I mean by that is an equation with some x squareds in it is called a quadratic equation. So we're going to take these quadratic equations and factorize them. In other words, put them back into the double brackets that they came from. But it's important before we do that to recognize what a quadratic equation looks like. So it is something like 3x squared minus 10x plus 3, or 16x squared minus 56x plus 49. And we'll address that in a future video. But before we do, so a chance for you to try some of these more difficult expanding double brackets. Question 3, some brackets there to expand. Be careful of D where you've got that squared bracket, the bracket times by itself. In question 4, they've given you the answers, but each answer contains one mistake. You need to find the mistake and correct it. And then in question 5, a square made up of 5 or 6 rectangles, A, B, C, D, and then E, which is a sort of composite shape made up of 2 rectangles there. And your job is to find the area of each of A, B, C, D, and E. Quite a difficult question, just be careful. So for example, if I was working at the area of A, I would do the length, 6x plus 1, times the width, x plus 2. In so doing, I'm multiplying bracket by a bracket, so I'm expanding the double bracket. If you want to have a go at that, you can. Again, it is a little bit trickier, and we'll test quite a few people that one, including myself. But have a go, pause the video when you're ready to start, and the answers then when you resume. So here are the answers. Question 3. In question 4, 2x squared was wrong, it should have been 4x squared. In B, plus 4 was wrong, it should have been minus 4. In C, plus 6x was wrong, it should have been plus 8x. And in D, 5x squared was wrong, it should have been 6x squared. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. And then in question 5, our final question, rectangle A, there is the area, 6x squared plus 13x plus 2. I won't read the rest out. Then we look at B, then C, D, and then the difficult part of E, which is splitting it up. So the rectangular part you can see lit up now is 5x plus 3 times 3x, and it leaves us with a sort of little square at the bottom, but it's not quite a square actually, it's a little rectangle where it's x plus 1 times x plus 2. When we expand all that and simplify, gives us an area for E of 16x squared plus 12x plus 2. That's the end of this video. Hope it helps a little bit, and in our next video, be sure to check it out. We'll look at factorizing these quadratic equations, putting them back into double brackets. Hope to see you then.